So welcome to another of my videos. We're going to visit a place that's not as old as some I've been to, but I think might be quite interesting for a short video. The home for nearly 50 years of the legendary writer George Bernard Shaw. So we go to his place. A drive through amazing twisty little single lanes in Hertfordshire. Not a county I know as well as Buckinghamshire, but a lovely county, and on a summer's day here, beautiful green scenery. And so I've ended up at the home for more than 50 years of the legendary playwright, really, George Bernard Shaw. Many people will know that name. Many people believe he was the second greatest playwright Britain ever produced, second only to Shakespeare. I don't know about that. Yeah, and his most famous works, I think, were Man and Superman and Pygmalion, pretty well known around the world. So lots to see, hopefully see where he did his writing, and some lovely gardens too, I think. So here we go. It's George Bernard Shaw. Incidentally, he hated that. He just wanted to be known as Bernard Shaw. What I think I like about the house is it's actually really quite ordinary in a way. A great man lived here, but this was of course in the Edwardian period. I believe he moved here in 1906, and that's kind of the era of, you know, upstairs, downstairs servants. I don't think he probably had any, I don't really know. But the house is amazing, and it is quite an ordinary house in a way, as you can see here, but great to think that in this ordinary house lived a man who, among other things, won the Nobel Prize for Literature more than once. Yeah, amazing. And here's a tree that instantly reminds me of my granddad's house. He had the same type of tree in his garden, and actually he was born pretty much at the same time as George Bernard Shaw. So still in the garden before going into the house, but just look how beautiful this is. And this bit has been left to go wild, like wild meadow flowers. It's absolutely beautiful. And the garden, you know, I said it was an ordinary house. It's a bit more than an ordinary house because it's got a huge garden, but it's absolutely lovely. As you can see, I hope. I have to say, this wild garden has been done brilliantly, and it is a magical, magical place. Well, I don't want to get too much closer. Behind me, an active beehive with proper bees in it. It's rather sad to say when I learned that him, Bernard Shaw, and his wife Charlotte didn't apparently particularly like this house. They began by renting it and then did eventually buy it, but it was convenient for them. It was very cut off, and it took me a long time to find it. It was very private and peaceful, and it was still reasonably near to London, so for that reason they liked it. The actual house itself, apparently they weren't that fond of. Bit of a shame, because I think it's great. Right, so I'm inside the house now, and look what I found. His writing desk, straight off. Well, he did live here till 1950, so it's not all old things, you see. And over there, something a little bit more modern that I remember, like I said before, talking about my granddad, he had one as well. Here it is, a radiogram, this one belonging to George Bernard Shaw. I remember my granddad had a lot of Shadows records. I don't know if Mr. Shaw did as well. And here's the really nice Edwardian kitchen. There are two interesting things here. He knew he was going to die here, and he knew this house would be left to the National Trust, so he arranged for a lot of his personal possessions to be put in it so people could see them years later. So I hope you've enjoyed my little video of the house of Bernard Shaw, as we probably best know him, George Bernard Shaw. Oh, and one last thing to tell you before I go. If you think perhaps you're not that familiar with Shaw's works, I think there's one with which you might be. His play Pygmalion was later turned into a musical, like a musical version of it, and that was named My Fair Lady. And I think you probably know that, don't you?